Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency.
Hello, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency. So excited. Mallory Kroos on with us today. A $620,000 per month. That would be cool. $620,000 producer, leading a team, doing $330,000 a month. Married, babies, juggling it all, recruiting at a high level, figuring it out. Because success is a choice, and when you choose success, you don't choose to make excuses, and that's who Mallory is. So to see her rise, I met her a few years ago. And then she was just getting started. And now to see what she's been able to develop working with Derek and that incredible team over there, couldn't be prouder of him and what he's building, but alongside you and yourself, growing like crazy and leading the team that you are. That's what's so fun about this business, is finding other like-minded people who have a dream and a vision and don't make excuses about it. All right, you can make excuses for a minute, maybe even 3 minutes. But after that, all right, the excuses don't pay. So let's go get to work. And that's what feel like you embody. So without further ado, love you to say hi to everybody. Tell us a little about yourself, how you found FFL, and kick off the call.
Well, first off, thanks for having me on this call. It's truly an honor. I appreciate it. It's great to be here, and I just want to add value. And, if someone can take one thing from what I say and it helps them in their journey, then I'll be super happy about that. So my story, I found life insurance sales when I was about 35. That was about 5 years ago. I had done the whole I'm from Louisiana. My parents said, you got to get an education. You got to go to college. I went to college, I graduated. Then they said, go get your master's degree, go get a great job. I followed all the things. I did what I was supposed to do. And then I got out in the job market and I was like, wait, this is it. this is how much money I make, and then I have these student loans. And so a friend of mine said, hey, you should get into sales. This was when I was in my 20s. You should get in sales. We make good money. We have a lot of fun. So I quickly went into a sales career, and I really liked it. The thing I learned about sales in corporate is whenever you get really good at figuring out how to make money in sales and corporate, they change the comp structure. So I did that for a few years, kept getting really frustrated, realized that wasn't for me. So then I was like, I'm going to go in entrepreneurship. So I tried a little entrepreneurial thing on the side. I made about 6 figures. But again, I just couldn't scale it. I couldn't get past that ceiling. And I was like, man, is this it? Is this like it for my life? Like, I'm just going to work a lot and never get anywhere and just like pay taxes and bills and then die? Like, what is going on here? And I'm like, I see all these people making money and successful, and they have these big houses. Like, how are they doing that? And around that time, COVID was happening. I already had my son, who was about 4.5. I had my second child during COVID because I was like, this is a good time to be pregnant. I'll just, it's pretty good. I'm in the house anyway. Let's just be pregnant. So I had my second child, that's Sophie. And my husband started kind of saying, after my daughter got a little bit older, like, hey, you need to get back into something. Like, I can't carry everything. You got to kind of get back in. And I had always worked. So he was like, you should start looking. And this dread came over me at the thought of going back to work, and leaving my kids, like not leaving my kids like work was bad, but like not being in the house. So basically, to sum it up, finding life insurance and finding something that I could do from home was a godsend. So when I found out I could do it from home, that it was scalable, there wasn't a cap, I was like, I'm in, sign me up. And I've been running ever since then. That's awesome. A brief overview, Grady.
No, that's perfect. I love, you mentioned in sales, and when you start doing well, they change the comp rate. I want to know, do you know how many times you've changed the compensation structure at FFL?
I don't think you changed it since I came in 2022, because I still have that same comp grid, and that's the one I use. So
we changed it one time.
Okay.
And what happened was our top comp was a 140. And so Sean goes, we need to make this better. And we now have a top comp of 145. That is the only change. And he made it in 2019. And that's it. So that's what's, a mark for the good guys is that situation for us here. So as we continue to have the ability to continue to progress. So
I love that.
So for you though, like you deciding, I like how he suddenly said that. He's like, you need to maybe go do something, maybe go make smart one, because we were both making money, and it'd be great if we had that extra income. And you're like, all right, well, let me we just go figure it out. And here you are now, just rocking Hall of Fame numbers. So how did that start? Like, so you go find insurance, and you've got the little babies. Like, how do you embark on all of the early pressure to navigate the scripts and leads, and then you finally get an app submitted, and then it gets declined at the carrier, and like all of the early stress while the babies cost? Like, how did you navigate that?
So I found insurance on Instagram. I definitely think it was like a meant to be thing. I just happened to see this post from this influencer, and he was getting into insurance. So I got into it. And because he had a big name, he brought a lot of people in at once. And we were all starting from ground zero, from the bottom. And so what was cool about that is we were all figuring out together. What was not cool was that nobody knew what they were doing. So we really had to bootstrap it. And there's obviously training, and there's a lot of resources that FFL provides, but we kind of weren't as plugged in where I was. And so it was a lot of trial and error. Like I did a lot of stupid things. We all did. But I'm glad I did, because I learned, I kind of learned it for myself, and that's how I'm able to teach it to others. When I think back, I think my first month I IP'd like $8,000. So I wasn't like this big, whiz at selling. My second month I did about 14 or 15. My third month I did 39,000 issue paid. And I love that because I tell people, hey, even I, you think I'm so, good at this, but even I had to come in and there's a learning curve. But too many people, they quit in the first 30 days or whatnot. So, for your question about what I did with with the children. So my son was at the age where he was going to kindergarten. So that was covered. My daughter though, she was 1. And when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so little. Like, wow. But what I did was in the beginning, before, she went to daycare, I hired a lady that lived in my neighborhood to come to my house and she watched my child while I worked. That's what I did. And she did it for a few hours. She was very unreliable. She never came on time. I'm always like, where is she? I'm time to get to work. But the fact that I could just go downstairs and make dials and she would be up here and I knew my daughter was safe and happy and fine. That's what I started with. And that's what I tell women today is like, you don't have to have it all figured out today. You need to just put one foot in front of the other. And I did that for a couple months. And then once I started making enough money, daycare's $1,300 a month. That's what it is. That's one sale. So once I started making the sales, then I was like, all right, now I can put her into daycare. And honestly, it's been the best thing. My daughter's happy. She loves her school. She can't wait to go every day. I don't feel bad about that. My kids have grown up watching me grow this business, and honestly, they love it. They think it's exciting. They're turned on to entrepreneurship, and they think it's a lot more exciting than what Daddy does. So
That's awesome. What did you pay that lady per hour when you first started? You remember?
I want to say it was some hourly. I can't remember. Maybe $10 an hour. She was just some in the neighborhood that was just
$10 an hour. You're getting Filipino rates out there.
I honestly can't remember, but she was just looking for like, hey, I'll watch your dog. And she was a very nice lady. She did wonderful, but it wasn't like, it wasn't a lot, It was enough to get me off the ground.
Whether it's 10 or it was 30, right? If it was 4 hours of peace, knowing your baby's safe in your home, you could go check on it at any moment. You hear a cry that goes longer than 3-4 minutes. You go check, he likes his binky, whatever. Then you can solve the problem. 6, 7, 8 minutes. You grab a water, back to the office, and you're peaceful, calm, and you're progressing, right? There's so many people that let something like that. Well, I could never do that, or I can't afford it. Like that's the great thing in good recruiting is if you can't afford to do something, that's the reason you need to do it, right? If you can't afford not to, I can't make it to a night. Why? I can't afford it. You can't afford not to go to not learn the skills you need to learn in order to grow the business and make the sales you need to learn to change your life. So that's not an issue anymore. And so I love hearing that from you is that's you had to figure it out. And that unreliable lady from the beginning allowed you the peace to go into daycare. And I mean, the daycare is great. I mean, they're meeting other kids, they're socializing, they're learning how to take instruction from other adults. I mean, we don't go on a parenting tangent here, but it's clear they,
And here's the thing, when I started, there were distractions. She did want mom. I did have to take breaks, but what I tell other women in the industry, which I have a lot on my team, is it's okay to get distracted. It's okay to get sidetracked. Just redirect your focus. What a lot of people do is when they get distracted and they go, oh, that's it for the day. I'm just going to stop. Well, no, like a phone dialing the phone takes 10 seconds. If get back on it, go make more dials, you can squeeze more in. So that's just what I did. And really, when I think back to it, I just wanted it so bad. Honestly, Grady, I wanted to be exactly where I am now. And I'm here because I wanted it so bad. And I made it happen. I made it work. So that's what people on the call have to do is, how bad do you want it? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to do? Or are you going to, let your excuses win over?
That's right. My kids know this really well.
My daughter.
Okay. So now let's fast forward to today, right? There's that figuring out with someone to help for a few hours so you can start dialing. And there's where you are today. Now today they're little, but they go to school, but still what does your day look like now? Right.
Absolutely. So my day now, I'm usually up at 6:30. I love that I don't have to use an alarm. I don't use an alarm. Back in my old jobs, I needed an alarm. Now I just pop out of bed. I usually spend time with my kids because they're up at the crack of dawn. I spend like an hour with them, just kind of hanging out, drink my coffee, sit on the couch. 7:30 is when my VAs are in the Philippines and they run all like my agency numbers and graphics. They're messaging me, what do I do about this? What do I do that? So I kind of start doing a little work around then. My family leaves, my kids leave for school. My husband brings the kids. That's our partnership. He drops the kids off and picks them up. And then I am at this desk every morning by 9. And you can ask my team. Sometimes it's 9:03, but usually it's 9. And I usually have appointments. I dial. Every day is kind of the same. It's just let's go make money.
You treat it like a job. You treat it like a business. You treat it structured like a business.
I treat it like a job. And I've said before that the consistency is what has got me where I am today. I don't work when I just feel like it. I don't let things distract me. I know what my responsibility is, but also I like the results and I actually like what we do. I actually like it. I actually really like selling. So like I can't wait to make that sale or two in the day. And so I usually work till about, I would say 6 o'clock. The weird thing about me is most days I work all the way through till 6. And I think that's because I have a little bit of guilt that I can't work really late at night because I'm with my kids. I don't want them to be like, oh, it's bedtime and mom's still selling. And I know the younger people, they work at night. But for me, I just am not willing to give up my evenings with my family. So I work most days straight through. I might take a little sandwich break. And then I wrap up the day, usually anywhere between 5:30 and 6:30, depending on my last appointment.
And then
every day. And then
5 days a
Saturday
week?
too. Saturday,
What's your
to
Saturday schedule?
9 to 1 or 2 every Saturday.
Okay, so we got 9 times 5. Because 9 to 6, and then so it's 45. Is that right? 54. Oh my God, crazy! I dipped to. No, yeah.
This is all on you.
It's 54. 9 times 5 is 54, plus 5 or 6 hours on Saturday. So you're working 60 hours a week.
I've never counted it, but yeah.
Well, but what I'm looking for is someone to go, okay, well, she writes $600,000 a year, $100,000 a year. It doesn't happen by accident. She's not just poking around, down the phone from 10 till noon, popping back on 2 till 6. And I do a bunch of recruiting calls in the middle of the day, or, I'm doing training. Like, no, you're intentionally in the pocket trying to communicate with clients. And when you're not communicating with clients, you're probably coaching agents.
Yeah, I do train. I have trainings every week, and then I do recruiting calls. Those are all kind of mixed in my day. But the main focus is selling. Yeah. Because I've been taught, and what I believe is till your agency's doing at least $1 million a month, you should still be producing because you've got to set the tone for your team. If they see you not working, do you think they're going to show up? If you're not consistent, do you think they're going to be? So that I really have a sense of duty about it and responsibility. That's kind of what drives me, but I also love it. It doesn't feel like work to me.
I mean, that was the philosophy Sean and Andrew taught me. Your team will do half of what you do. And so I was the number one producer in my agency for every week that I sold. I wanted the trust. I wanted the respect. I wanted the money was fantastic. And I wanted the ability, the skill set to coach. When you lead by example, there's nothing else that can be said. And that is 100% valid philosophy. $1 million a month is a great number to get to and to pull yourself out so that you can focus on higher level stuff, solving problems, recruiting higher quality talent, focused on creating training protocols, digging down to new agents, working in depth. And that's the beauty of the business. That's when you can pull back. So that phenomenal idea. So let's talk about what you're selling now. What is your, I know what you used to like. So let's talk about what you sold, and then what are you focused on selling now? Kind of the reason for the transition, and let's jump into some script stuff. I love to get a script of a top producer because the words are always magical.
So when I started, my first leads were ILC. That's what we called. We called the bronze and the silver leads. I tell my team that we started on those two. And my first sale was like day 1 or day 2 with that. So I started with final expense. Then I think it was 2023, late 2023. My years are all messed up. I started doing mortgage protection, and then I got on mailers. This is what was when the mailers were really hot. You had you were spending like your mortgage payment on mailers. And I mean, literally, I was
$90 leads. $90 leads, guys.
Yeah, it was my mortgage payment basically every week on leads, and I didn't care because I was making so much money. I was selling that. That was the year I made 620. So I did that. And then things kind of change. Now the leads that I'm doing are self-gen. I do self-gen, which, guys, just means Facebook and Instagram leads. I don't even know that much about them besides that they work and they're less expensive than mailers. So I did mortgage protection up until about 2 months ago. It kind of dried up a little bit for me. I'm not saying for everybody. So I did do a pivot because a lot of people are having success with veteran IULs. So I've been rocking the vet IULs and my numbers have gone up. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, the that's the beauty. And I always let me give Zach credit because he was on the first saw it. He's one of the top team from an 8-issue paid per agent because they really focused on Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, Hall of Fame, and they were crushing mortgages. But when rates took a tick, went up, and refinances and home purchase went down, mortgage protection just became, there was no new data. Now your only hope trying to get old data, and you come into a position where you're like, okay, there's still people out there that want to buy stuff. And then the explosion of the IUL is what's taken us for belief. A few years ago, we were probably doing 5% as a company would be our total production. Now this year, we're going to be probably 50% will be IULs. And I know you focus on kind of a specific subset of that, but I love to hear kind of, work through that for us, how you explain it, how you take control from the sale, and let's go from there.
So what I've found is that the IUL is the flashy new word that gets their attention on the marketing, but it's not necessarily that they want an IUL. I sell the product. A lot of the vets don't qualify. I sell the product very I downplay the IUL aspect of it, and I sell it very honestly. I say, look, an IUL is not going to make you rich. It's not going to make you a millionaire. That's not what it's going to do. It's a permanent policy that grows cash value. Sometimes if they can't get an IUL, I'm going to have to put them in a final expense. And I'm saying it's a permanent policy that grows cash value. So I have to match them in the right thing. And I'm not going to overpromise or lie or tell them the wrong thing. So when I get on that call with them, I'm asking questions like, do you have any insurance already? What are you looking for? A lot of times like I sold a really nice gentleman yesterday. He's like, I just want to cover my final expenses. He doesn't need an IUL to do that. He's 72. He needs a $10,000 to $20,000 final expense policy. So I have enough experience now that I really act as a professional and a consultant where I'm like, all right, here's what we're going to do. So basically, to sum it up, I feel like the IUL just creates a bigger funnel because they're like, oh, IUL, that's a new word. That's a flashy thing. And a funny story, my sister had a ton of old vet leads and she was calling them saying, hey, are you interested in life insurance? And then, no, stop calling me. Leave me alone. She called all those same leads, but said, hey, you requested information about the IUL. They're like, oh, yeah, tell me about that. So to me, it's a little bit of a marketing switch. But I really handle it just the same way as I would handle any final expense call. It's really not that different.
I love it. Now, obviously, as we understand, the main issue for those that don't understand is the reason why a veteran wouldn't qualify for an IUL is health. And that is the main parameter where the underwriting guidelines for an IUL are parallel to term. Why? Well, the death benefit is going to be higher, so there's more risk to the insurance carrier. So that's the way insurance is built. It's actuarial science. Is what's the likelihood of this person to pass? They have no medical issues, A+ health, no bad or poor choice doctors they've had to interact with in the recent years. They should be fine to qualify for an IUL or term. Now, when they do have health issues and they're on multiple medications and they have overcome things, we're happy they're still here. But the actuarial science would say the likelihood of passing is higher just based on past or current medications and what they're going through. Thus, the pivot to a whole life type product. So let's jump into how you, if you're calling appointments, great. You're not calling, if you're calling, one call closes. What's your 30, 90 second open, how you take control, explain who you are, and then how you explain the IUL to someone who could qualify. Let's go through that.
Yeah.
I love the word tracks at the top.
Say, hey, this is Mallory Kroos. I'm reaching out because you had requested some information about the veteran IUL program. I am a licensed underwriter in the state of Texas. Basically, what I do is I work with veterans to match you with the right company so we can get you the best product at the best rate. The really great thing about what I do is I'm a broker, and I still use the cheesy line. I say, the best way I can explain this is I'm not like Jake from State Farm. I don't just work with one company. I've got a lot of different companies, and I really focus on matching you with the right one. Now, the insurance companies, they're going to be looking at your health history and your age. That's how they're going to make the decision of whether you're approved or not. So I am going to have to go through some quick health questions, just to make sure that we can get you the right policy. The really great news, Mr. Bob, is you do not have to take a medical test. You don't have to get any blood work. We've streamlined all of this. And I kind of skipped over the part. I always give my license number. And I usually tell them that I've been doing this for 5 years because I think they like that. I think they want to know you're not just some new kid on the block. So if you've got a little bit of time under your belt, I like to say that. So then I'll ask them, do you have insurance already? And I kind of say, like, what are you looking for? Who are you trying to protect? That's usually what I do. I don't go super deep into the IUL, Grady, because what if they don't qualify? Now they're mad that they can't get something that grows 6% cash, accumulation, compounding every year. So I'm not going to go in that direction until I know they can get it. Then I'm going to tell them all the beautiful things about the IUL. But until then, I just find that they don't even really know. They're really just looking for life insurance. That's usually what I find.
So you're trying to find the need, the why. Is it a spouse? Is it kids? Is it living benefits? What are those opening questions you're asking?
Yeah. So I'm saying, so what are you trying to? I usually say, do you already have insurance? Let's say they say yes. I say, okay, so are you just looking for additional coverage? Who's your beneficiary? Is this something to pay for your funeral, or do you already have that covered? What's the number in your head? How much coverage are you looking for? Sometimes, like I had a guy yesterday, he's like 250,000. And I said, hey, I understand, but with your age, that can be really hard to get. Why don't we get a more practical number? What would really make a difference in your wife's life? So I've just kind of learned how to, take that conversation. I think that's something that took me time, learning how to talk to the client. My number one thing that I've learned, and I teach my agents, is when you're talking to a client, you have to talk with confidence and like a firmness in your voice. I really have learned how to talk to them like, I'm the professional. I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this a long time. Like if my agents that are in the Zoom room with me, they hear me say, hey, listen, I've been doing this a long time. Because 5 years in insurance, that's like 35 years. It's like dog years. Okay. I'm joking, but you know what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
So I like to I'm respectful, but I'm firm. I think, as a woman, sometimes we feel like, oh, I gotta be bubbly. I gotta make them like me. No, they'll talk your ear off and then they'll say, oh, I gotta go now. And they won't buy anything.
Yeah.
People don't want to buy insurance from people that are friendly or let them talk. They want to buy insurance from someone they can trust. So when that bad day happens, they know their family is going to be taken care of. They want to buy insurance from someone that knows their stuff. So that's how I don't even have to try. That's who I am with the clients. And I really want to get them in the best thing. And I want to get them covered immediately. I want to get them covered. And, I don't want them to think about it for a month.
So that's good. No, that's awesome. So, okay, now let's say hypothetically they're healthy and they can qualify for the IUL. Or you think they can, how are you going to explain it?
Okay, perfect. So I'll say,
I'm healthy. I haven't seen any doctors, no medications. I run 3 miles a day, or I walk it, and I've got a rebounder. I jump on it in my living room and walking on my.
So after I do the health questions, I'll say, hey, great news. I think you will qualify for the veteran IUL, and I call it the veteran IUL. And I say, we of course still have to apply for it. But basically, I want to tell you about this product. And this is where I'm kind of selling it a little bit before I give the rates. The really great thing about this policy, Mr. Bob, is this policy is not going to expire. It's basically a permanent policy. It's going to be in place here for the rest of your life. As long as you continue paying it, it's going to be there. Another great thing that you wouldn't get with a term policy is it's actually going to grow cash value. Now, it's not going to make you rich. It's not going to make you a millionaire. I want to be really upfront here. because I'm selling, we're selling simplified IULs. I'm not doing the fancy stuff. But what it's going to do is it can grow your cash value anywhere up to 6 or 8%, just going by Americo. So people really like that because it just has so many benefits, and it's nice that your policy has little cash value. And then I'll say, how does that sound? And they're like, oh, that sounds great. That's when I'll pull the rates. I always give them 3 options. And then, I have them, I say, hey, which option is the best for you? Or which one sounds better? Now, a lot of times people will go between 2 different, and they're like, well, can I think about it? Can you call me next Thursday? And what I've learned to do is I want to unlodge them from that uncertainty. So what I say is, hey, Mr. Bob, why don't we apply for that lower option, or the option that seems a little bit easier, and see if we can get you approved. You'll get your policy in the mail, and then you'll actually get 30 days. If you want to make any changes, we definitely can. You can increase it later. But why don't we get the thing that you can safely afford? Why don't we get that in place now? And you would be amazed. Well, you probably wouldn't, Grady, but a lot of people would be amazed that it really gets them like, yeah, let's do that. It just takes the pressure off the decision. And then I'll tell them, hey, 90% of the families I help and my clients keep their policy in place because I have about a 90% persistency. So I'll tell them that. And what I'm doing is I'm giving them social proof. They're going, oh, wow, the people she helps, 90% keep their policy. So what am I doing? Subconsciously, I'm making them think I'm going to keep my policy. This person knows what they're doing. And I have a 90% persistency rate. And my team has a very high I haven't checked it lately, but I think it's 89, 90%. So when you say that to your clients, you're kind of subconsciously setting them up. And I'm very confident in the policies I write. I believe in them, right? I've been to Americo's home office. I sat at the big board table with Lindsay and all the guys at Americo, and I asked questions about the policy. So I know deep down this is a great company, and I can rep them,
I don't think you guys understand how valuable that line was that she just shared with you. There is so much Jedi mind massaging going on there, because you just took them from uncertainty to downselling and going, let's just get the small one. And he goes, okay, yeah, you're right. Let's just get some place. Find out if we can get you approved. Bob, Mr. Bob, in the future, we could always increase the coverage or add on more, whatever, you feel comfortable with. But today we need to find out if we can even get you approved. And then, okay, that sounds good. Let's go for it. I can afford $82 versus the $163 or the $247. That makes great sense. Now, do you understand 90% of the clients that I take care of keep their policies in place? That says to him, you're good at what you do. This product is good. I must be making a good decision. There's so many boxes that simple statement checks that gives the client be like a car salesman going, 90% of the people, 100% of the people 90% of the people keep their car. What I would be like, well, what happened to those 10%? Oh, they got a nicer car. That's what happened to that 10%. But there's so much, guys, write that down. Oh my God, write that down. 90% of the clients I take care of keep their policies in place. Start saying that today and watch your persistency explode. Holy cow. Thank you for that.
Because you got to realize when you call these people, they don't know you. They don't know if you're in your mom's basement, if you're some creep. They don't know. So you have to tell them who you are. You have to show them who you are in that phone call. And so I like to say, I've been doing this 5 years. I specialize in this. This is how I help people. 90% of my clients keep it. And I mean, don't lie if you don't have that persistent, be careful there. But, I think that it translates to them the confidence that they should have in their policy. And what's really cool is lately, so I've been in the business now, like I said, this is my 5th year. I've been calling my clients back from 23 and 24. And I think 23 was the farthest. And I've been asking them to do a policy review. And then at the end of the policy, I'll go over their policy. Is there anything changed? Did you move? You need to update your address, your beneficiary. And then I'll say, hey, we've added a lot of carriers. Do you want to add some coverage? And it's amazing how many people say yes, because the trust is already there. They already trust me. I'm calling them after all these years. Obviously, I'm not a scam artist. You still have your policy. I'm calling you back. And we're writing them another policy. And it's the quickest, easiest sale. So my tip, and I've been telling everybody this, if you've been in this business for even just 18 months, call your clients, do a policy review, and they'll give you referrals, they'll write new business. And we have that in new carriers too. So we have, some more tools in the toolbox.
That's
Don't
awesome.
replace though, add. Don't replace.
Add. That's excellent. So I got to ask a pro how to do it. So you go through it all. He says he's healthy. You submit the app, declined. How do you pivot?
Okay, so it really depends on the situation. If they are declined for an IUL, which really stinks, I usually tell them, hey, unfortunately, they're not approving you for the policy. It's probably due to XYZ, because they'll have told me your health. Sometimes I'll say, is there anything you might have forgot? It doesn't tell me what it says, but it just says like medical history. And that's when some more stuff might start coming out, right?
Oh,
I'm
I
pretty,
forgot. They'll know.
yeah.
A lot of times they'll know they didn't tell you
Yeah.
something. And
So then I'll give them the other option. And what I always say is, I'll say like, hey, look, Mr. Bob, trust me when I say I want to get everybody the exact coverage they want. If it was up to me, I would get you the exact thing. But based on your health history, wherever you go, it's going to be there. It's in your health history. So it's not going to change. I would really recommend getting this in place. If I'm pretty sure he's not going to get it somewhere else, I'll just like downgrade him to like a FEX policy. It really depends on the situation. But I'll tell him I would apply for this and get this in place. If you ever find something better, you qualify for something different, great. Get that later and replace this. But right now, this is going to be the best thing you can get. And we can even revisit this in a year. Sometimes that helps. Another thing I'll do is if let's say I applied him for a final expense at America and they got declined, but I think I still have a shot. I'll say, oh, the system is actually directing us to another carrier, so we're actually going to apply there. So I don't say you were declined, shame on you, you're so unhealthy. You don't want to make them feel bad, because they'll start thinking, well, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this just isn't in the cards. I'll just say, oh, the system is actually pivoting us to another application. And a lot of times they're like, okay.
Another gem.
You've got to direct.
This is why you show up these calls. That was fantastic. I've been doing this a long time. The system, oh, looks like you weren't approved for this one, but I'm a broker, so we can pivot to this company. No, the system is directing us to another carrier. That is so much better. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. And it depends on the conversation, the personality. I got a few different ways that I do it, but that's another one that I use. And listen, I want everyone to know, you're not going to get every sale. I lose sales all the time. I posted something on the Instagram the other day. I said, oh, I made 2 sales today, but I lost 1. So I wrote 3 apps. And usually that's how it goes. I lose them. But you have to understand that losing is part of winning. You're not going to win without losing. You're going to lose. You're going to lose deals. You're going to be upset about it. But you've got to just keep going, and don't stop, and don't think that doesn't mean that you can't do this. Accept that you're going to lose some clients. And I guess what I'm trying to say is you're not going to make every sale. But if you can make 50% more of those pivoting calls than you did before, because you changed one word track, that's more people help. That's more money in your pocket. So just instead of just saying, well, just forget it. What I like to do is I call it leveling with them. It's kind of like I'm pulling up the chair and I'm like, listen, Bob, let's get real. That's kind of how I talk to him. Like, listen, you need this insurance. You got that stroke in your history. Let's apply for this. And sometimes they appreciate the directness.
Of course.
Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do.
How do you close? Like last 30 seconds, then what do you do to from a thank you card, flower, chocolate, bunny, how do you?
Yeah. So I always cement the sale. I have cemented, I don't know if I'm saying the word right, the sale since 2023, 24. What I do is I have a little thing I go over. Hey, go get a pen and paper. We're going to write down your not your license number, your policy number, the name of the company, the date it's going to start, how much the coverage is, how much the monthly payment is. The coverage amount is never going to change. The payment amount is never going to change. I tell them that because I don't want someone to go behind me and say, oh, that's probably one of those policies where the premium increases. I make sure to tell them. I gave them my personal cell phone. I say this is only for clients. And then I do send them a postcard. I send them a postcard every time.
I love it. Just locking it down. Mallory, you're rocking and rolling. It's so exciting. What's your next 12 months looking like? What's your goals?
My goal right now is partnering with more people that have the vision for this business like I do, basically that want to do what I've done, grow an agency, sell a lot, change their family situation. So basically my goal is I want to hit 1 million a month.
I love it. I love it. It's coming. I can see it already. So thank you so much. We'll see you on stage next week. So can't wait for that. That's going to be fantastic. And keep going, keep crushing it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great day. All right, guys. This is what's so fun about this business. 90% of the clients keep their policies in place. Just saying that line gives them confidence and trust that they're buying something that other people like. And the system is directing us to another carrier. Been doing this a long time. Learned 2 new great lines today. So without further ado, the moment of Zen you're about to watch is one of the most impactful audios I've ever heard. And thus the reason I felt compelled to share it, as we're making many choices each and every day, and some that need to impact on our life forward. So without further ado, thank you for joining me. Here's your moment of Zen.
Let me give you the day that turns your life around as quickly as I can. I got 4 parts to the day that turns your life around, and then we're finished for the day. Number 1, disgust. Disgust. Disgust is a negative emotion, but it can have a very positive, powerful effect. Disgust says, I've had it. What an important day that could be. I've had it. Wow. I met a beautiful, powerful, accomplished executive lady in New York. Company invited me to come in. This lady was the vice president, extraordinary lady. I got to know her and I found out her story. I said, how did you get here? Big income. And she never went to college, never went to university. I said, how did you get here? Executive, powerful, income. She said, well, let me tell you part of the scenario. She said, when I was a young mother a few years ago, she said, one day I asked my husband for $10. And he said, what for? She said, before that day was over, I decided I would never, ever ask again. She said, I started studying opportunity, found it, took the classes, put myself through the schools, did the scenario. Now I'm vice president. I make a lot of money. And she said, I kept my promise. I've never, ever had to ask again. It's called a life-changing day. The day you say, enough is enough. Now, if you can add an act to your disgust, it helps. A man takes a shotgun to his car, blows out every window, destroys every tire, puts 100 rounds in it, and says, I've driven this embarrassing thing for the last time. And then he saves it. He saves it. And later when somebody says, how did you become rich and powerful? He says, let me show you this car. One day I'd had it up to here, I blew it to smithereens. Enough is enough. Powerful. Here's the last 3. Next is decision. Decision making is a life-changing day. If you went home today and in the next few days cleaned up a list of decisions, it could furnish enough inspiration for the next 5 years, 10 years. What an inspiring day, the day you can bring yourself to decide. And here's the 3rd one, desire, wanting too bad enough. Who knows the mystery of that? We don't know. But here's something I do know. Sometimes desire waits for a trigger, waits for something to happen. Who knows what the happening may be? A song, the lyrics, a movie, the dialogue, a seminar, a sermon, a book. an experience, confrontation with an enemy, a conversation with a friend who finally levels with you. Whatever the experience it is, it's so valuable. And here's my best advice. Welcome all experiences. You never know which one is going to turn everything on. Don't put up the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. Take down the walls. Go for the experience. Let it teach you. And here's the last one. Resolve. Resolve says I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language. Benjamin Disraeli said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake its existence on its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. Best definition of resolve I got from a little junior high girl, Foster City, California. I'm going through some words one day. I got to this one and I asked the kids, who can tell me what resolve means? Some didn't know, some tried. Interesting. The last one was the best. Little girl about 3 rows back, she said, I think I know, Mr. Owen. I said, what? She said, I think resolve means promising yourself you will never give up. I said, that's the best I've ever heard. She's probably giving seminars somewhere today, right? I mean, that's the best I've heard. I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give your average baby? Before you say, hey, enough's enough. No. Any mother in the world would say, you're crazy. My baby is going to keep trying what? Until. What a magic word. I want you to write it down. Until. Promise yourself you'll read the books until your skills change. You'll go to seminars until you get a handle on it. You'll listen to it until it makes sense. You'll go for it until you understand it. You'll practice it until you develop the skill. Never give up until, however long that is. Step by step, piece by piece, book by book, word by word, apple by apple. Walk around the block, walk around the block. Go for it. Don't miss the chance to grow. And resolve that you'll pay the price until you learn, change, grow, become. And then you'll discover some of life's best treasures when you pay that price.